Well, rescuers in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region are still looking for survivors after a pair of Russian missile strikes. Now, these happened Monday night in Pokrovsk, killing at least 7 people and wounding more than 80. One of those dead, a first responder. Ukrainian officials accuse Russia of so-called double-tap strikes, launching a second attack to hit rescue teams who go to the scene of the first attack. Claire Sebastian is here in London. Claire, what are the details as we understand?
Yeah, Becky, we understand that at least 7 people were killed. The injury toll now up to 81, of which almost half made up by police and rescuers. So that gives you a sense of what happened here. Pokrovsk is a town in the Donetsk region, in the part of that region that Ukraine still occupies, although Russia, of course, has claimed to annex that entire region. So no stranger to fighting. This is a region that's seen fighting since 2014. But this attack that happened at dusk in the evening, people having dinner, people in their apartments, still came as a shock. Take a look. Even for a town that spent most of the last decade on the edge of conflict, these are startling images. Daylight revealing a wide area of destruction in Pokrovsk as rescue efforts resumed. The head of the town, some 30 miles from the Eastern Front, says 2 Iskander ballistic missiles struck 37 minutes apart Monday evening.
This is a standard Russo-fascist scenario, 30 to 40 minutes between missiles. When the state emergency service and rescuers arrive to save people, the second missile hits, and so the number of victims increases.
Here is the moment of that second hit, captured on a paramedic's body camera. Not surprising, then, that dozens of police officers and rescuers were among the injured, as well as children. The deputy head of the state emergency service in the Donetsk region killed. Having witnessed the first strike, this 75-year-old woman fell victim to the second in her own apartment.
There was a first impact. We were not hit. All was okay here. I was talking on the phone, sitting, and then suddenly this flew out, and it fell around me. Then the window fell on me. My back has cuts.
A hotel, now closed, an Italian restaurant once frequented by foreign journalists, also hit. Russia has denied targeting civilian areas, saying Tuesday it hit a Ukrainian military command post in Pokrovsk. But nearly 18 months into this war, attacks like this are commonplace. And Ukraine says Russia is not letting up on the front lines either. Footage released this weekend showing Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu apparently visiting rear positions inside Ukraine, capping a week in which Ukraine says Russia fired almost 500,000 munitions in the east. This as Western officials tell CNN 2 months in, briefings on the state of Ukraine's counteroffensive are growing more and more pessimistic, as Ukrainian troops still face layers of Russian defenses in the south with mounting casualties. One chink of light, the first batch of US Abrams battle tanks is now ready for shipment and set to arrive by early fall. Likely not soon enough to turn the tide in the counteroffensive, but a boost for Ukrainian morale, again under attack. You know, Becky, these attacks on civilian areas, even though Russia consistently denies them, have become a hallmark of this conflict. We saw Kryvyi Rih at the end of July, Kramatorsk at the end of June. The randomness of this designed to sort of keep the psychological pressure on Ukrainians to test their resolve, even as Russia is struggling to break through their defenses in some regions. And just one more thing, rescuers also have been in the firing line throughout this conflict. We had a new number today from a spokesman for the state emergency services that 78 rescuers have been killed, 280 injured, they say, since the start of the full-scale invasion.
Claire, just a little more, if you will, on these concerns about this Ukrainian counter-offensive. New CNN reporting revealing Ukraine's allies getting, and I quote here, sobering updates from the battleground. Can we be a little bit more specific?
Yeah, this is reporting that CNN has that Western and US officials are saying that frankly they're getting a bit of a dose of reality, that 2 months or so into this counter-offensive, we're really not seeing much movement. The fact that Russia had the time to build up its defenses, especially we see in the south, has meant that Ukraine has faced mounting casualties. They're now in some areas having to pull back units in order to minimize those casualties. Look, in many ways, this wasn't unexpected. President Zelensky has been saying, look, we were waiting. We wanted to start the counteroffensive in the spring. We had to wait for more weapons, for more ammunition until around early June when we felt comfortable enough to start it. But there are some questions around that as well, whether enough training was given to the brigades who are operating some of the Western weapons systems, that balancing act that we've been talking about, whether to go quicker or to wait for more training. Some of that is coming into play now. But I suppose one small silver lining for the Ukrainians is that at least this manages the expectations, and they are still getting, we saw with the Abrams tanks, they're still getting these Western weapons through.
Yeah. And CNN Chief National Security Correspondent Jim Sciutto has been speaking with many of those US officials, and we'll be live with Jim next hour. Thank you.